Hello there, you are joining with yet another exclusive interview on WION with me, 𝗦𝘂𝗯𝗲𝗏, coming to you from Colombo, Sri Lanka. On this edition of our interview, we are joined by the former Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reform. He's the former minister, but now a presidential candidate, and that is none other than the former minister, Wijeyadasa Rajapaksha. Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
It's been quite the interesting couple of weeks for you, given that just a little over a week ago, you were a minister of a very important portfolio, and now you are a presidential candidate. How did that change happen?
That is not something new to my life, because earlier I have refused to accept a cabinet portfolio 6 times, and now 2 times I have resigned, 1 time I have been removed. This time I thought that there are different fractions in the cabinet. Of course, the cabinet was consisting of members from the Sri Lanka 𝗦𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗃, led by 𝗦𝘂𝗬𝗏 Rajapaksa. Later on, during that turbulence period, we decided to give the leadership to 𝗦𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗃. Now, during last 2 years that we had to work very hard. I also got the portfolio because the country was in a peril. I wanted to salvage the country. That is why I also joined. Now, all the members of the cabinet, except 2 persons, all the others came from that Sri Lanka 𝗦𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗃, are with president. Then when he said he also going to contest as a president, I thought that better that I have my identity separately, because the public opinion is the 𝗦𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗃 is corrupt. The majority of this that party and the cabinet are corrupt. That there are a lot of allegations against the president. I didn't want to have that mixed reaction. I just to have that separate identity in isolation. I resigned, but of course I also invited president also to resign, because his view was that since I am contesting from a different party, not SLPP, it is better that I must resign. Now he is also not contesting from SLPP. He says he is contesting from another party or independently. If his logic is the correct and reasonable, I wrote him that you also must now resign from the cabinet.
So does that mean there was a breakdown in sort of your relationship with the president that led to your decision, or was this some decision you came up on your own?
With all these politicians in Sri Lanka, I had only political relationship, nothing personal.
And the others don't?
With none. I have a connection with 𝗦𝘂𝗬𝗏 Rajapaksa when I was in his government. Then 𝗦𝘂𝗬𝗏 all were that we were dealing with the political relationship. That is not for us to gain anything, that is to deliver something for these poor people in this country. And therefore, when it comes to a crucial matter, whether 𝗦𝗵𝗵𝗃 is a friend of mine is immaterial. I have helped him several times. I have held the portfolio. Once I have been sacked by him, then 2 times he invited to come back and give me the portfolios. That is not something unusual in politics.
Right. A topic that a lot of people are discussing these days is the situation of the Sri Lanka 𝗦𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗃, whether the party in itself still exists, given that just a day ago, over 90 MPs were seen joining the president. You yourself did contest from the Sri Lanka 𝗦𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗃 for the election. So my question is, what is happening to the Sri Lanka 𝗦𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗃 right now?
At that time, it was the political landscape in the country. If you have to go to the parliament, you had to contest from a party where you can get votes. Then, with all that, I had no idea of contesting, but Gotabaya Rajapaksa continuously insisted and pleaded with me to come to Colombo district for the election. Then I joined that and I contested. That there were a lot of obstacles by that party itself, but with all that I got 120,000 votes. That is higher than the Prime Minister got only 85,000. Education Minister got only 50,000. The people accepted me despite the fact that earlier 2 times I contested from UNP. Most of the UNPs voted for me, irrespective of my change of the party politics. But at the beginning I realized that the Gotabaya had no vision, he had no team. The people who were surrounded by him were corrupt. Therefore I decided under his leadership I will never undertake any portfolio. But at the time when the country was at a turbulence, there was no government control, it was anarchy. Then only I decided at their request on invitation to accept this portfolio. Now of course this is something which has been boomerang. When we were in UNP in 2000, no, I was not in UNP, but in 2007-8 period, 𝗬𝘂𝗯𝘀 Rajapaksa broke the UNP into pieces, and he got around 40 to 50 members from the opposition by giving various positions, cabinet portfolio, state minister, like that. At that time there was a criticism that the 𝗬𝘂𝗯𝘀 Rajapaksa is breaking the opposition into pieces. Now Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is responding by following 𝗬𝘂𝗯𝘀 Rajapaksa.
So is the claim made by MP Namal Rajapaksa that the current president, Mr. Wickremesinghe, has a habit of breaking parties, is that claim true?
Yeah, that was told by his uncle J.R. Jayawardena. He broke the SLPP into pieces and got various the courts to issue the orders to close down that headquarters in Dali Road, and SLPP family was broken into 3, Bandaranaike family, that is J.R. Of course that Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is not a patch of J.R. Jayawardena, but he is doing the same thing.
Speaking of the SLFP, there currently lies a restraining order regarding your party chairmanship at
Correct.
the SLFP.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit more about your relationship and your role at the SLFP and the current stance that you have towards the former president, Mr. 𝗦𝘂𝗋𝗶 Sirisena?
You know that in Sri Lanka, especially in major parties, there had been many struggles to get the leadership in the history. It happened throughout. This is the only occasion where all the members of the executive committee invited, and 2 times they resolved unanimously I should be the chairman of the SLPP. But there are 3 persons out of 15 in the Politburo, and out of 240 members of the executive committee, the 20 members, less than 20 members are with 𝗦𝘂𝗯𝘀 𝗂𝗂𝗋, and at least 90% of that mechanism is with me. Now we are working, that mechanism is working for that election. I am not worried about the SLPP name or the symbol, because even Bandaranaike did not contest from hand symbol. In 56 he contested from, that is Mahajana Eksath Peramuna of 𝗕 Gunawardena. Even during last 30 years, since 1994, there was no single president who was elected without the base vote of SLPP except 𝗦𝘂𝗋 Sirisena, who came to our camp at that time, UNP, and with the UNP votes, and 𝗬𝘂𝗯𝘀 Rajapaksha's reputation had gone down very badly. Then we were able to win in that election. Except that, Chandrika 2 times, 𝗬𝘂𝗋 2 times, the Gotabaya all won with the basic vote block of 50 lakhs, that is 5 million vote base. During the campaign, that from time to time they were able to increase. 𝗬𝘂𝗋 Rajapaksa got it increased up to 55.8 million in 2010. Gotabaya got it increased up to 6.9. But it all that's the base was that 5 million votes of SLPP. Now that 5 million SLPP vote base is silent, because they don't have a leader to vote. Now I fill that gap. All these people, including the President Ranil Wickremesinghe, knew about that. They considered as a threat although it should be the democratic form of fighting elections, they consider it's a threat. Therefore, that's cases, after the cases they file, I think over 15 or 20 cases filed. I am not bothered, I am not concerned about the cases. I never went to court just to waste my time. Let the court to give any decision. Votes are not in courts, votes are not in the SLPP headquarters. Votes are in the heart of the people. I know how to win the heart of the people.
If not for this restraining order, does that mean you would have contested from the SLFP?
No, still no, because as I told you, since 1994, Chandrika, Mahinda, Gota all contested from coalition, never from the SLPP party. That was a theory followed. Even Bandaranaike did not contest from SLPP, the symbol or the party.
People also have this view that a lot of MPs sort of jump ship from party to party, only looking after themselves and not really the interest of the people. As someone who has sort of been in many parties and come into parliament from one party and now representing another and now wanting to be a presidential candidate possibly from yet another party, what can you say to people who genuinely think that the MPs, their only intent is to just jump ship to whoever who holds power at that particular time?
You are absolutely correct. That is Sri Lankan politics. I am the only exception. In 2005, 2004, when I was offered the cabinet portfolio, I refused. 2005, when 𝗵𝗂 Rajapaksa, I was his legal advisor. When he offered, I refused. Later on, when he was pleading, I accepted. In 5 months' time, I resigned, saying that your policies are wrong. Especially, I opposed to the appointment of 𝗦𝘂𝗯𝗶𝗹 as the governor of the central bank. Then I said, you appoint him, that I will resign. I resigned. Then I became the chairman of the COP. The vast, you know, that's number of corruption I exports, running over 300 billion at that time. They didn't take any action. Then we went to court. We got Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation and many other organizations revested through the court orders, accepting the correctness of my reports. Then he sacked me from that party. Then I gave up my politics. But Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe did not allow me to stay at home. He was insisting for him to take me to the parliament from the national list. I said, I never come to the parliament from national list. I will contest. If people want only, I will come. Then I contested from UNP. 2010, 2015, the people elected me. Then Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe also sacked me over my statement regarding the possible attack by Islamists, that not Islamists, really Wahhab fundamentalists. I said 29 months before it happened. Then they thought to sack me. Then they waited until a good opportunity when I opposed to the giving of Hambantota harbour to China. Opposed. Openly I opposed to that. Then on that basis he sacked me from the cabinet. Then I gave up the politics for the second time. Then Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, he came and he pleaded continuously. He did not allow me to at home. Then again he offered me from the national list. I refused. I said that, okay, if you are so insisting, I will contest. If the people want, let them elect, otherwise I will take whatever the decision. But people in the Colombo district, my vote base was increased by 50%. The people want me to stay in the politics. They are not concerned whether I am following this camp or that camp, because people as well, myself know, all the camps are full of frauds, cheating. Therefore, that what your idea, the people's thinking is absolutely correct. When 𝗵𝗂 Rajapaksa was the president, he got 61 members from the opposition from various parties. I am the only one who went from government to the opposition. I have never crossed from the opposition to the government. Every time what I have done is that I have crossed from the government who is having the power to the opposition, then I challenge the government.
Does that also mean the current president, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, is also fraudulent in your means?
That is obvious, no? Then how can it happen in 2015? In fact, that we, with our hard work, we got a government with 106 members. How can it become to almost zero? He also came on the nationalists. If it is a good party, if it is a genuine party, why should that the people, completely eradicate the party?
Right. Also coming into a current issue, the issue pertaining to Sri Lanka's Inspector General of Police. There appears to be a bit of a bottleneck or rather a deadlock between the executive, the judiciary and the legislature. Who is really in the wrong and what is the way out?
In that, the president is correct. IGP Desabandhu is correct. The biggest blunder did by speaker.
How so?
Because that speaker, I who drafted that 21st amendment as well as 19th amendment. In that the speaker has no votes like in the parliament. But if there is a tie-up, equal votes for both sides, then he can make use the casting vote. At this juncture, for the people, for the proposal, 2 were against, other 2 were absent. Then speaker, he says he cast his vote in favor of that 4 member groups, that is approving the appointment. That is wrong. The court judgment is correct. Therefore, whether the court gives a guideline, if you want, you can appoint a acting IGP. Not necessary. Whether court gives a guidance or not, the president is bound and obliged to appoint a acting IGP.
But his failure to do so is sort of what led to this problem first time.
The speaker, he did the wrong thing. The court has, that considered that and decided that approval is wrong, invalid. But here, the mistake was either a mistake or I don't know whether it is purposely or done by the speaker, but the responsibility is now on the president. He is the appointing authority. So he is the commander-in-chief. He must take the responsibility for defense of the country. When in 2016, November 18th, when I said that there is a threat to the country, that they all manipulated things and sacked me from the cabinet. After 29 months, there was Easter Sunday suicide attack. Even the commission report, presidential commission says the government should have acted upon the disclosure made by the then Minister of Justice, that is myself. What the government has done is they have killed the messenger and thought that is over.
Coming back to that issue of the IGP, just for our viewers' understanding, a court order was issued preventing the current IGP from carrying out his duties as the IGP. But the court order also specifically mentioned that the president is now allowed to appoint another IGP who is fit for this purpose. There were 2 days that lapsed before candidacy was declared. Is that sort of a failure of the executive to act for the best interest of the country and to appoint an IGP before he declared candidacy?
I insisted that court has given a guidance. He can appoint a acting IGP. It is not necessary. Even without that guidance, this is a constitutional obligation. He has to appoint. Assuming that he did not appoint before the declaration, still that election is not commenced. The nomination is not yet given. There is no any legal obstacle for him to appoint an acting IGP even after that. So while the election is going on.
Even right now?
Not even right, even after the nomination is given. We'll say that 1 week before the election, at the heat of the election, still he has to do it.
Why is he not doing this?
I do not know his intention. I can't talk about it. That maybe he wanted to, disrupt the whole election process and have some postponement.
Does that mean the current president is not confident of a win?
Definitely he has no confidence at all. He never thought of, contesting this election, because earlier also, when he realized that he can't win, 4 times he stepped down. when 𝗏𝗓𝗡 Dissanayake came in 1994, when Fonseca came in 2010, when Maithripala came in 2015, when people said they are supporting Sajith Premadasa, all 4 times he stepped down. This time what has happened is, he casually said to members of the cabinet and some members of the SLPP for him to perform his duties conveniently during last 1.5 years. Now people have gathered because they know that there is no credibility in SLPP, they will never win. They thought that we must gather around this person and he can win. But President Ranil Wickremesinghe knows that it's only a dream, it's far beyond. But not that he wants to contest, these ministers and those who are gathered around him compelling him. For their the survival, they want to sacrifice the president. And his vote base will be less than 1 million, maximum 1.5 million. He knows that.
But why is he still going ahead in that
He has no escape route, because these ministers might eat his neck. Except me, all the ministers are that try to save their the face and secure their seats in the next parliamentary election. That is why they are going behind. But one thing I will assure you, in the next election, out of those 220 people who will be returned to the parliament again will be less than 30 to 40 members.
Is it because the current voter base is a little more informed
Yes,
than last
yes, highly educated. The voters are much above the politicians in this country. That is one of the greatest, the feature in our democratic politics. And also then I have lived in last 18 months, I have got passed over 90 legislations. There are many legislations just to curb the corruption. One of the best piece of legislation in Asia, like anti-corruption law, that electoral expenditure bill, kind of things that it will not be easy for them to win the election just because that they have got masses of ill-gotten money. In our system, the theory was that if you rob 1,000 million, you have to invest only 100 million just to distribute during the election, you can win. He is the one who is getting the highest number of votes. That is why I just want to get rid of these corrupt politicians and political system. The law is in place. Now we want somebody who can implement with a political will, and this is the opening of the door for intellectuals and youngsters to get into politics. My dream is in the next election, I will get as much as possible, not mediocres, the young, educated professionals, academics to the parliament. Then I want to take over this country. That is the whole exercise.
Right. Mr. Rajapaksa, moving back to your final days as the Justice Minister, you were vehemently opposing the publishing of the 22nd Amendment, for which the President then, via his executive powers, did gazette it. Why were you opposing this, and what really happened?
I think that you will appreciate if you know the reason. That 22nd Amendment is superfluous. That means it is not necessary. But we told that it is not necessary. The people have a habit of just running to courts. That happened in 2019. Then there was one person, Lena or somebody who came from Uzbekistan, who imported here only to file the case. Then the Supreme Court gave a five judges bench judgment.
Who do you think was behind that? To file
that I can't tell openly. I will tell you personally. Then even after that judgment, few days later, there was a lawyer who knows the law, also filed another case. There is no end of this thing. Then we decided this is superfluous. Even though we will just rectify, then they will not be a burden to the court. In principle we agreed, but I said that we need not take into the parliament this time, because people are having a lot of suspicion about the government, the leadership. That is because that government did not hold the local government election. The people are looking very suspiciously, and that is reasonable. And therefore that at a time like this, without creating any commotion at the eve of the term and just before the election, I said we'll gazette it and we'll send it to the parliament after the this election. Even if we are there, we will do it, or somebody else who is coming to the power, they will do it. What is the hurry? But he overturned this decision without my knowledge, without telling me. He bypassed me and he sent it for gazetting.
Why was that rush?
My understanding, he still concerned about to create some uncertainty of regarding the holding of the election.
Does that still mean the current president is not confident going into this election?
He is not confident at all. I think if the best thing you can ask from him, he will never say he will confident, because he knows it.
Is it because he does not have anyone to support him, or the people do not have faith in him?
Just because ministers, MPs are supporting somebody, people will never vote. There will be a 5 to 10% vote based on that caliber, that nature. But at least 90% of voters in Sri Lanka in this time, they will not look at the party from which that you are contesting. They will look at certain, other important ingredients, that is including first thing, whether he is a person who is having a leadership, whether he has a proper education, whether he has some experience in politics, then whether he is not an extremist or racist. Those are the matters that people are concerned this time. And what he has done, finally people will ask. I am in the parliament for 20 years. 2 candidates are in parliament for 25 years. Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, of course, over 50 years. When the people ask what you have done during your period, then they will have to answer. Then people will decide who has done some service to the country.
You yourself mentioned that your political career expands 2 decades. During those 2 decades, you worked under many regimes, under many leaders, ministers, presidents, prime ministers. However, most notably, over the past 2 years, specifically during the height of Sri Lanka's economic crisis, the world at large, or even majority the citizens of Sri Lanka, pointed the finger at the Rajapaksas, mentioning that they were the sole reason that Sri Lanka was sort of dragged into this economic crisis. Were they really responsible? Were the Rajapaksas really the downfall of Sri Lanka?
Really, that although I am in the parliament only for 2 decades, my political career, spanning over a period of 45 years, since 1976, I started as a school student. When Chandrika Bandaranayake, President, handed over the government to Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2005, the total debt was around 2,100 billion rupees. After 10 years of Mahinda Rajapaksa's period, it had gone up to 8,000 billion Sri Lankan rupees. Then when Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe took over the treasury in 2015, and when he handed over to Gotabaya's government, it has gone up to 13,000 billions. During the Gotabaya's period, it has gone up to 21,000 billion. Now it has gone up to 30 billion. All are responsible, but the beginning was that the opening of this gate for all the corruptions started with Mahinda Rajapaksa. I openly criticized that. That is why I could not stay in his government. Then I exposed all these corruptions through my COPE reports. Court has endorsed most of my reports. Even the taking of loans from overseas, especially at the commercial rate of interest, was a very highlighting factor, whereas most of the projects were not economically useful and viable. That is how this debt trap was started. I have talked about this debt trap so many times with your channel. If necessary, I will give the details in the future.
So in short, were the Rajapaksas really responsible for the 2022 economic crisis?
Yes, certainly yes, but others also have contributed. That this 2015 to 19 government also has contributed. On 14th of November 2007, I crossed over from the government to the opposition, I said that this economy is destroyed, is being destroyed by P.B. Jayasundara, the Treasury Secretary, and 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗃, Governor of the Central Bank. If they want my vote, I wanted President Rajapaksa to remove them. He protected all of them. Will you believe, on the same day, 14th of November 2023, exactly 16 years later, what I said in the Parliament, in my speech, came as a part of the judgment of the Supreme Court, where they says the whole economy has been destroyed by so and so, including Rajapaksas, and specifically named P.B. Jayasundara and 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗃.
Also, speaking of the Rajapaksas, their current party, the Sri Lanka 𝗬𝗲𝗱𝗏 𝗔, appears to be at a very odd state, given that a majority of the MPs have now voiced their or extended their support to the president. Who really is with the SLPP at the moment?
I think that only the family and with very, very few close friends, it's already been liquidated really. It won't have any survival in the future.
But what is the end game in that regard? Why do you think they're choosing to go this route, given that a majority of the MPs have already extended their support to the president?
I am really optimistic. This is a good chance for the people to get good academics, then professionals to the parliament irrespective of their party affiliations. Just to have the history with a new dimension and new vision for the youngsters and educated people to take over the government.
At the moment,
irrespective of their political party, people will do it.
Right.
They need now people, not the party, not the color. That era has gone, even that system has gone even in most of the countries. You look at the elections of German, France, going to happen in America again.
Right. At the moment, a lot of people believe that no candidate appears to be the stronger candidate than another candidate. Like no candidate has a 50% majority voter base as of right now. Do you think this is accurate? And again, do you think the president will secure victory?
It's a dream. It will never happen. If president contests that if he has to secure the 4th place, it is a great victory for him. 4th place. But at the moment, what the people's thinking is correct. At the moment that nobody has got 50%, because how can it be? At least 55% people are now undecided. It will take some time. When it comes to the last 2 weeks of the election, then people can see that who is the winning party. By that time, gradually the people will be separated to 2 groups, except those residues which will go to Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe or any other. Rest of the people will take a decision. But it will happen during this election campaign.
Coming back to the SLPP, they're yet to announce their own candidate, although they have said they will be fielding in their own candidate from the party. According to your insights and your expertise and experience, who do you think the candidate will be?
They have 2 options. One is to fill Namal Rajapaksa, that is to secure that the family powers of the Rajapaksa family to retain. But they know that even if Namal comes, it will be a difficult task either to retain 4th or 5th or even 6th. Maybe that is position. If it happens, then that his political the career will be over. They know that. Therefore, they are scared. Therefore, that second option is to fill 𝗬𝗵𝗶 Pereira. 𝗬𝗵𝗶 Pereira is spending a lot of money. Therefore, that they may be thinking that with the money they spend, they can win it, but it is impossible. If I remind you, in 2015, Mahinda Rajapaksa had all the dictatorship power with the 18th Amendment. Then he had 2/3 in the parliament. He had 8 provincial councils out of 9, over 85% of local government institution, and spent billions and billions of money. But with all that, he lost. Even if 𝗬𝗵𝗶 comes, the result will be the same. He is not a politician. He has not delivered anything. There is nothing that he can see. He has done something good for the people, except for that he is running casino clubs and bringing all this garbage from UK to Sri Lanka to dump on our land and to destroy this country. There is nothing that he can say.
My final question to you, Mr. Rajapaksa, how confident are you in becoming the next executive president of Sri Lanka, and what percentage of votes do you think you are able to garner for this vote?
As I said that earlier, there is 5 million vote base which was never changed. That is the base vote of the person who is coming from the leftist group led by 𝗦𝗂𝗰𝗵𝗶𝗹 party. That is the party I represent now. But there are many other parties with me, coalition. That 5 million votes have become, that's the spectators now, because they were waiting for somebody from the left camp. The leadership is always with SLPP. Then all these leftists are gradually, getting closer to myself, and with all the other type of people like government, former government servants, then smaller political parties. If people are, that's confident that I am the representative coming from SLPP, it is not that difficult for me to get that 5 million votes. In addition to that, I will have to convince the people what my policy is. Now, like those days, just because that your father also was a president or prime minister, he was a senior political figure, people are not concerned about it. This time, people will look at that what they have done, what the candidates have done, and what their future plans. And all these, that's a person like Mr. 𝗦𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗹, he has given promises to the people during the last 50 years, but he could never win any election. Finally, under his leadership, the strongest party in the country came down to one. With all that, the people are intelligent, people will look at these manifestos. I will come up with a manifesto which is practical, not to cheat the people the way that the others had done in the history. With that, I am quite confident.
Just adding to that final question, what party will Mr. Rajapaksa be coming forward with?
National Democratic Front.
Right. And confident of an over 50%?
Yes, yes. If not for that, I would not have contested. But I am quite confident because I know the pulse of the people, the thinking pattern of Sri Lankan people now. The people are advanced than the politicians. That is the beneficial factor for me.
Any final message you would like to give to potential voters who will be watching this interview?
The message that our people are expecting is what I am telling, that is just to get rid of corrupt political circle and send them home, and to implement the law and to establish the rule of law, and to get all these youngsters and academics, professionals, entrepreneurs full of parliament. I am going to fill the parliament with intellects in the next election. Most of our problems will be solved, but it doesn't mean all the problems are solved, because that our debt has gone up to $100 billion with 37 billion external debts. We will have to find solution. These corrupt politicians can't find solution. They are the people who put this country into trouble. That is why when I was trying to curb corruption, sometimes it is ridiculous also, because for some of the laws just to prevent corruption, sometimes the government oppose, sometimes the opposition oppose, sometimes both parties oppose. Somehow I manage. Even on this electoral expenditure regulatory bill, that is necessary. This is the gateway for the corrupt people to get into the parliament and to presidency. Therefore, that you will have to curb the expenditure on the political campaign. Otherwise, all these underworld gangs and then drug dealers are providing that for their safety, when their supporter is warned, that they will look after them, not the people. That is what it happened in this country. And therefore, what I am trying to do is just to have the system put in place. Thereafter, we need somebody with a clean mind, just to establish uphold the rule of law, and also the parliament will be a clear place where that we can build the confidence on the people's representatives while giving leadership to the youngsters and educated people.
Thank you very
Thereafter,
much.
I want to take a rest. Once it is done, after the next, that period of parliament, I just want to transform that Sri Lankan political system by handing it over to the real owners, that is the youngsters. Thereafter, my duty will be over.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rajapaksa.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.